Okay.
And you are live.
Okay, I call this meeting to order. Please join me, saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Of our color guard of the evening. Thank you. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I believe you read the mission vision last meeting? So,
I did not.
I did not?
Eddie
Okay,
did?
Lindsay did, okay.
I did recently, at least.
Get a moment for maybe we get BC
I
again.
can read it.
Go ahead and read that, please.
Yeah. Our mission is to foster academic and social growth for each student in a safe, supportive school environment. Our vision is to be a learning community that inspires our students and staff to think critically, grow intellectually, and live with integrity.
Thank you. Item 3, any additions to the agenda?
There is, we have 2 field trips that require out-of-state travel and overnight stay. I brought you each information on those. You want to take one and pass it down? They're both for our wrestling team.
Huh?
Wanted to see if for item 11I, under the superintendent's consent calendar, if we could separate that from the agenda for a discussion, a separate discussion. But I think we would need a motion for that, so I'll move for that.
Okay, for the entrance requirements?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, wait, is that the correct one?
That,
Maybe things got renumbered since 5 minutes.
yeah, I is the approval of
let me
the entrance
see.
requirements, and J is for board staff communications.
Yes, it should have been J.
So I asked about that, and usually on the first read, it's been under the superintendent's consent
Okay,
calendar.
so we could leave that in there and then have the
Right.
discussion
We
next
still
month.
have this, yeah, well, we can have a discussion this month.
Yeah.
Doesn't stop that, but just
Okay.
usually the first read just happens to be under there.
So when would the discussion take place? Would it take place
When I'm reviewing
during
the
your?
consent, yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, anything else? Have a motion for the approval of the agenda.
I will second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Need a motion for the approval of minutes from the regular meeting of November 1st and November 21st, and special meeting of November 30th.
I had one edit to the minutes from the meeting on November 21st.
I think we might need the motion before
with the move
we
first.
discuss it.
Okay.
Yeah, just to be,
So,
I'll second.
okay. Discussion.
And the motion was made by Eddie. Okay, thank you.
so under, it's by page. So under the discussion of the secondary campus bell schedule, where it says board discussion, the very last bullet point says, if we wait for the new building ed visioning design process, we lose time. It may leave too much to address at one time. I didn't know who it was that said that, but I thought that it was Lindsay. I wanted to see if that could be included.
I was Lindsay.
I wanted to see if we could include that in the minutes, if that's okay.
Okay, sure.
That was all. It's very specific, and I didn't even know what the ed visioning process was, so that's why I wanted to make sure it's included.
Great. Okay. With that change, all in favor, indicate saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item 4 passes, and we're now at our student update.
Awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
the students are back there and here. We're surrounded by students.
That's a good place to be.
All right. So at the little lunch meeting we had with our superintendent, she had us come up with some kind of drafts of what we wanted to talk about and just think about it for when we meet here. And the draft I want to talk about is the art department for our school. I'm trying to pursue art in like film and cinematography, and of course like cinematography or film isn't offered at the school, but it really like changed my life to like be in art class with like my art teacher, because like she showed me like opportunities I could make outside of school and opportunities I can make with people like alumni and scholarships and everything like that. And it really helped me like get all those networking connections that like I didn't have at the school. So I want to just like think about if it's possible, maybe more funding for the art. It's a lot to ask, but like of course recently like they've been struggling a lot because there was a period where there wasn't any art teachers at the school for like a week or so, and it's been a lot of stress for like the students. Like a lot of like straight A students are like failing ceramics because like of course like the teachers can't give hands-on like advice and teaching and stuff like that. It would just help if we had like at least like one more art teacher, maybe some assistant art teachers or something like that. I also want to talk about the recognition of art students. I feel like I had a few friends last year. They won a lot of art awards and like scholastics, like scholarship awards and stuff. But like they got like no recognition for like the school for like their like awards and stuff. Like maybe for like the art teachers like recognize them because they know that they were involved in it. But like it would be cool if they like maybe got like a newspaper or like the announcements or like other things just to have them more recognized for like their awards, because art is like really competitive, just like sports is too. I think the main reason I think funding the arts would be like important is because there's a lot of genres of art. It's like more than just drawing and painting and digital art, and of course like it's expensive, but there's like I feel like if I never like got the teaching from like my art teacher, then I would have never wanted to like pursue film as much as I did now, because we don't have any cameras or any really, just this year we got like editing stuff and things like that. Like maybe if we had like cameras or more different genres of art classes or alternative art, I feel like more kids will find something that they want to pursue as a career. And yeah, I just really like our art teachers are great. I love them a lot. They really help me a lot. So I just want to have a chance to help out other kids that are going through high school too, trying to pursue art. I think they should be just more like recognized by the board. Yeah, that's it.
So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Dakota Brooks, and I'm currently a senior at the high school. And I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the global media class that we have over there. So last year was the first year for it, right? Last year was the first year for global media, and it really introduced like broadcasting and news and stuff like that to the school. And one of the first episodes of FinCat News came out, and I remember looking at that and saying to myself, wow, how do I get on this? Because it seemed like such an interesting thing to be a part of. And this year I got the chance to actually take the class. And I have not been disappointed. Mr. Wolfris is a great teacher of it. Mr. Rosa taught it last year, and Mr. Wolfris is teaching it this year and does an amazing job of it. I've been able to learn how to be an on-air personality, be a producer, generate ideas just for FinCat News. And the other thing about global media is that the opportunities don't stop at FinCat News. We have the opportunity to go ahead and pursue special projects like podcasts or YouTube channels, things like that. I've even been able to participate in the Finneytown podcast with Mr. Muchmore and Mr. Kennedy, and that was a lot of fun, and I'm glad I got to do that, and I would love to do even more of it. It's even opened up opportunities for me to talk to people like Fred Wittenbaum and be able to get access to video record the PEM Memorial concert. Forgot what it was called there for a second. Also meant to say this. If you guys have any questions about the class at any point, just step in, ask a question. I'll do my best to answer it. But like I said, I got to film part of the Penn Memorial Concert, and we're putting that in the newest episode of FinCat News. And I also got to meet a large amount of people in the field that I would love to do post-college, which is broadcasting, acting, just stuff along that spectrum. So the global media class has truly given students a major amount of opportunities, and I'm glad that we have it over there.
Okay, that's awesome. How long have we had the global media class? It's our second year?
This is our second year. Yeah. Last year it was 1 bell. This semester it's been 2 bells. So Josh, you're in bell 2, right? Yeah. Josh is in bell 2, I'm in bell 5, and we've kind of been tossing FinCat News episodes back and forth.
That's awesome. Yeah, as far as I know, we haven't had a student news program in probably been over 10 years. Someone could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there was one when I was in middle school, which would have been like 2009. So it's been quite a while. So thank you for being a part of that. That is awesome.
No problem.
So Josh, you brought up opportunities for the art program. Is this the first time you brought it up, or have you and other students figured out a way to go to the building administration, or what's the process for trying?
I brought it up to Miss Miller just once. I didn't really go into it. I just said I wanted to talk about it at the board, but other than this, like, no, I haven't. Mr. Wolfris, he was really like the teacher of the global media class. He was really impressed with how much I did over the summer. So yeah, like me talked to the global media class about how I got all the opportunities and how they could find them too. And I feel like if that was just more like brought out into the public, because like I kind of had like one-on-one like teaching and like talking with my art teacher and how to like get to certain points and like achieve certain things. But maybe if it was just like posted or email sent out and like, oh, this is the new art opportunity or photography opportunity or like painting opportunity, then I don't know, I just feel like it would be better.
So just a suggestion, if you can get more students working with you, and don't just come and say, we would come with a suggestion, right? Go to Miss Miller and talk to her. We have 10 students, I have however many students, maybe this is something that we can consider.
Okay.
Right, but come with your own ideas and let them know what, not just you, but what your classmates are looking for. It might have, an impact. This is gonna have us talking about it, but if the students can also bring that, not just to their attention, but have potential solutions or have potential ideas that can start the discussion, that would be beneficial, I think, to everybody.
I can do that.
And I will say, if I do hear that there's students that are getting art awards, I'll add that to my list for. So it doesn't quite fall under FMPA, but it's still the arts, so I can, I'll try to look, I'll take a closer look at the updates that are sent out by the principals and make sure to give those a little more attention than I may have previously.
All right.
That's awesome. I'm glad you're having a good experience.
Something I hadn't noticed before, had you not mentioned it, so something we'll definitely pay attention to more.
Well, thank you both.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you very
Yes.
much.
Thank you.
I do have to head out.
Thank
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you guys. It was great meeting you. My bad.
Extreme close up.
He doesn't have to park, so he lives next door to me, so. Of course, he probably does, so. That's just awesome to have students. Just really fun. Yeah. If we're not taking it all the time, then we just take them more.
You have an extra pad, that's all.
I asked.
Not that you're boring. I mean,
No, it's fair.
No, the boring part is when we're talking about all the hard things. Yeah, so that sounded like
Tony, I am very protective of my pen, so I'll make sure.
no, that's the same one as yours. Is that your pen?
Yeah,
Oh, it's
I
your
should.
pen.
Under the bat and
It's all good. Ask Miss Miller about me and my pen. Are we good?
Okay, good, yeah.
Okay, so just a couple updates. Jamie had asked me a question the other day about how many languages are represented by our community. And I was able to pull that from our Dazzle system today. Melissa Reed actually, pulled it for us. But it is 11 languages, 11 different languages. So I thought I'd share that with all of you.
Those are students or parents that speak languages necessarily?
Students, different languages in the home, so.
Wow.
And then in terms of, I know there was a question around LPDC. That stands for our Local Professional Development Committee. And basically that's a group of teachers that get together and review professional development opportunities and keep track of our teachers' hours for license renewal. And so they meet monthly, I believe, and record all that and keep that and track that for us. And each district has one.
Okay.
And then it's required by ODE. And then each teacher or staff member certified has to submit, we call them IFIDIPs, but basically an individual development plan of what they'll work on, and then those hours go towards that plan. So I just thought I'd provide a little context for that.
Thank you.
And then one thing, I am working on a newsletter. It was supposed to go out last week. It's gonna go out probably tomorrow. In that, one of the things that you'll notice is we've had an increase in lunch charges. It's a meeting we've had recently to problem solve how we can address that and the debt it caused, because the district will be responsible for the debt that's left behind. And that money is not necessarily budgeted, so it has to come from somewhere. And traditionally, in the past several years, it has come from the building budgets. And so that takes away opportunities from the buildings and things they are able to do. Our current balance between the two campuses is almost $14,000. And so that is a significant concern for us. Each of the, I know, Finneytown Elementary hasn't included in their newsletter. I'm including it in mine. One of the barriers we think is the way that our families go on to pay. And so we provided additional guidance in this newsletter to, because some of the feedback we've gotten when we make calls or contact with families is, I've tried and it's not working. So we're kind of hoping this additional information on how to will help bring some of that down. We don't anticipate it will address all of them. And we're not the only district seeing that. That's something Milford Schools, who is our partner in our lunch program, they've gone to several meetings recently where they said that other districts are experiencing similar large lunch fee debts, because transitioning from the universal lunch program last year to this year paid, we think that's part of the challenge we're facing. So I just want to put that on the board's radar, let them know that we are meeting about it. We are actively contacting families and trying to recoup those dollars. But at some point, there may be board action to help cover or address that debt.
Do we think the subsidized lunches, do we think we still have families that can sign up?
We have, and we are reaching out as one of the options to families. The free and reduced lunch form is not an easy form to complete, and so I think that's a barrier and a challenge for us. But it's part of our final forms, and then when we see families, any family with that debt, that is a question that has been asked. Have you filled this out? Have you considered it? Whether or not we know income or other things, it's just a.
So if they fill that in, is there a possibility for recouping, or is that only for going forward?
It's from that point forward.
Okay.
Yep. So any families that need support, we have our district social worker who can help with that, along with our buildings. So we'll work through that with any family who wants to apply for free and reduced lunch, or who wants to make payment and who are struggling with that, so.
Could I ask, so if, so the district, we have to pick up the tab for whatever's not paid, is what it sounds like?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then, okay.
Not talking about the 14K, what's our total bill a year for lunches, including what we get from families paying for their?
So I can answer that question.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
Someone's exiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So none of the revenues or expenditures run on our books. They're completely carried on Milford's books, and so we don't report any revenue, we don't report any expenditures. The only expenditure that we would have would be this bad debt,
Okay,
and that they transfer to us.
gotcha. So we don't know the total amount spent?
Right, we don't,
Okay.
yeah, we don't.
But we could get that.
We can find
from-
it out.
Okay, that's just an interesting,
Is this the kind of thing that you tack on to student fees and then you can't graduate if you don't pay your lunch fees? Because I know some you don't pay like normal student fees, you can't graduate, or you won't get your diploma.
We have not done that in the past because similar to what Dave said, everything kind of runs through Milford and then we get like one bill at the end.
Okay.
So in terms of what that could look like, that's one of the things we're trying to problem solve and have
Okay.
conversations about.
That would be tough because it's food. That's
Mhm.
different
Yeah.
than,
And that is a challenge because right now, we have students who, when they come in, we
Yeah.
absolutely,
They gotta
if they
have food.
need to eat, we feed them. And
Yeah.
so, right, there's currently not a limit on that. That was one of the things we tossed out, is it after 3, 4, like, do we just no and give an alternative? Obviously, we're still gonna feed our students, but we haven't quite come up with a solution.
and hunger has a inverse correlation to
Absolutely.
performance, right,
Yeah.
for students, so.
So, we'll continue to work, Milford's a partner in that, and sitting at the table with us in those conversations and making contacts with our families too, along with our building principals, who put a lot of time and effort into that.
I wonder if this is a problem that other schools are seeing broadly over the state of Ohio, if this is something that we can go to our reps and say, hey, collectively as a bunch of schools,
yeah.
is there something that can be done, by the state to help with this? Because it's food.
I think
and
that
it's
Yeah.
feeding.
I think we can, and I
Yeah.
think that is something that Tina, who is our main point of contact and partner at Milford, she has shared that they are doing that, and that's part of the conversation, because districts are just struggling with this amount
Right.
that they're seeing, so.
And if they need any backing from, if there's any action that the board can do to help with that action. I'm not optimistic that the state will necessarily do something, but we can try.
Yeah, we could send something from the board.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll keep you posted, because Tina's keeping us posted on what action they're taking through their groups.
So, real quick, so the
Yeah.
free and reduced lunch form's always been a challenge. Do we have a problem where like maybe somebody needs help, we don't have anybody to help them, or is it not even, I didn't know if we had people who could volunteer to help people fill out the forms, that might help there, if it's really, it's not that Kathy's overwhelmed, it's just not happening.
We have, this year at both open houses on both campuses, we had it set up where we
Right.
had a separate space for families to go and apply, and there were supports in both locations, at secondary and here at Pennytown Elementary. And then anytime we know of a family, Tina will reach out to us and let us know, can you help this person apply?
Right.
And Kathy reaches out. I don't think it's a lack of resources,
Okay.
yeah. So I will continue to keep you updated on that. Just a celebration I wanted to share, it is official, OFCC did pass the resolution last Thursday, or December 8th. I'm losing track of my dates. And so there was a press release that went out along with a short article in the Enquirer, so a lot of positive energy there. And we will be finding out more after the first of the year in terms of a project agreement, and then being assigned somebody through ODE to be our partner, our project manager. And then we'll get started,
Okay.
so.
So assuming that there's no significant hitches in the process, it's usually about a 3-year timeline, 1 year of planning, and then,
Our optimistic timeline, I want to stress optimistic, and talking with OFCC as well as with Elevar, who's helping us with our long-range facility planning, would be fall 2025. That is our optimistic
Right.
plan.
that's exciting.
Yeah.
Assume when all the planning start, would that be the February date, or?
We would have to bid for our, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, Dave. We'd have to go through a selection process for our architect, and that would be the first step, and we would do that along with OFCC. So they sit at the table with us for all these decisions, which is different from Finneytown Elementary, where we got to make all those decisions independently. So it'll be a little bit different. But the OFCC brings along additional resources and expertise. So I think it'll be a good partnership.
That's great. I think the community will be extremely excited. I mean, I think the word's already gotten out, but I think just seeing that the ball is rolling and that the money that we already put up front is actually finally being matched, I think that'll make, I mean, the people I've talked to are extremely excited. So we're excited as well.
I think there'll be a series of decisions that will happen pretty quickly between January and March, between Whitaker demolition, different things like that, that we'll be talking about at the board meetings moving forward. So as we learn more, we'll be sharing more.
So with OFCC's involvement, how different will the community involvement be? Because I remember there was meetings and visioning and all that kind of stuff for the elementary school. Is that not going to be present with OFCC, or will that be?
My understanding is it will be a very similar process.
Okay.
They'll just be sitting at the table with us. They'll be partners in it.
Okay.
So that's my understanding. Do you have a different, is that, okay? No different, okay, yes. So we're gonna, until we learn different, that's what we're going with, is my understanding. I did also want to give an update because it has been brought up in different, through different emails and things like that regarding bullying and the reporting of bullying and how we're handling bullying. So I met with both of our building principals and we reviewed our current policy, our current reporting guidelines. We are drafting some changes to what we currently have in place to make them more clear, help define bullying in a way that's maybe a little more understood by all parties involved, and then also some templates to help our building leaders to investigate issues of bullying. And so our next step is to schedule a meeting with some families as well as some teachers and the people, Meredith, Carol, and myself, to review that and get feedback to see if it's clear and stuff, with the hope of sharing it with the community sometime in the winter time. So we'll say January, late January, early February, so after the holidays. But I wanted to let people know that's being worked on, and we did see room for improvement, so we'll share that as we get that done.
So will that involve policy changes or anything from the board, or just at a building level?
It's more of the processes and procedures internally. It doesn't change any. 42% were parents, guardians, or family members. 31%, and I'm rounding here, so it's not gonna add up to exact 100. 31% students, 25% staff members, and then just 1.2% community members. And so the themes we are seeing, the overarching themes, are things that probably won't surprise anyone, but academics, social, emotional well-being, and athletics. And so we are diving a little bit deeper into each of those. And then we are also decided we're gonna pair it with other data points because we felt like this wasn't a true representation of our whole community. So we'll be including, when we have our final share out with the board, information and data collected through our Pro-Action Cafes and through a couple other opportunities. And then our hope is this will guide future planning and or future conversations with specific focus groups around things that we need more information or clarity on.
Okay.
So that's where we stand right now.
You said one of them was social-emotional,
Social emotional.
so that kind of thing could include behavior or anything like
Yes,
that? Okay.
it would include behavior. Mhm.
Thank you for, and to the team for putting that together. And going through that.
Welcome.
That probably took a lot of work to go through 168 responses that were open-ended, so I recognize that was
Yeah.
quite a lot of work for qualitative data.
Yeah.
That's
We
very
had a
appreciated.
good team dig into it and spent a couple hours on it, and yeah, so it was good. And it led to good conversation and thoughts about how to really use it in a meaningful way moving forward, so.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, oh, and then just a shout out, a lot of winter wonderlands and musicals, went to orchestra last week. It was fantastic. We've got band, we've got talent contest or talent show, and then we also have the, I think, tomorrow night, the chorus concert here. And then we are doing, for the first time ever, a live stream of our band concert. And we will be sending out the link to that. That is a project that Eric and Mike Kennedy are working on. And so we are excited to share that. We didn't try, we did 2 live events for our athletics, and so we're gonna try to do that as well for our band.
Great.
When is that?
Wednesday evening. And so you'll get a one call now with a link to
I knew
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
A
we've had that
text.
since Waycross used to, Waycross doesn't come anymore, do they? Back in the
Cross
day.
media?
Back in the day, Waycross used to come
Oh,
and they would
yeah.
record, but we haven't had anything like that since then. So now we're in the
Long time ago.
now we're in the
Yeah.
in the digital age here. So.
Yep. So it'll be on.
Not perform Lake
Yeah.
So, and the last thing I will say, if you did not listen, our podcast this week, which aired this morning, we had 2 students, including Bryce was on morning. We had 2 students, including Bryce was on there, and remind me the other student,
I'm sorry, Steve?
our other student who was on the podcast this morning.
Tia Brown.
Yes, and her quote on there was, it's very heartwarming, and she talks about how anything is possible in Finneytown. And it came straight from, it was a special, podcast with our younger kids, so shout out for that.
Okay, thank you for all that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Number 7, your contract. Can I have a motion?
Second.
Okay, do we have any discussion on this? I know as a board, we've had plenty of discussion on this. It's like the, good things she does, everybody talks about her, what she enjoys seeing and everything. And I'm glad we're, have a good contract to offer.
Thank you. Just appreciate how much the district has grown with you being here in so many ways. I appreciate, regardless of what you're going through, the challenges in the district, you always show up and you always have a smile and you're ready to champion Finneytown. And I'm just looking forward to the future with you and looking forward to seeing how we're gonna grow over the next couple of years, so.
Appreciate it,
Thank
thank you.
Okay,
I wanted to say I worked with Jamie. Jamie and I went over past superintendent contracts in detail. Jamie put a lot of work into crunching numbers. So the board has a full sense of costs associated with superintendent's contract and all of that. And a lot of that we have to thank Jamie for really putting a fine-tooth comb to everything and understanding that, so that the taxpayers can be sure that we're being responsible with all the funds that are being spent on any staff or administrator in our district. I did want to say I'm extremely excited that you're coming back, Dr. Banks, at least it sounds like you intend to, and to say thank you for the long hours that you put in, and your administrators and are regularly 60+ hours a week. The heart that you're putting in,
the officer will acknowledge those speakers who notified the board via superintendent or the public address form. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. Each speaker addressing the board must state their name for public record. Any material handouts must be of individuals, profanity, abusive language, and speeches that invade individual privacies will not be tolerated or permitted. The board will take no action regarding matters or issues presented through public address in the meeting in which the public address was made. All necessary follow-up will be made verbally or in writing at a later date.
Okay. Hi, y'all. I'm Michael Hamill. I live at 8532 Brent Drive, and taxpayer here in the area. A few months ago, the board had made the decision to introduce diversity, equity, and inclusion into the curriculum. And I had a couple of questions that surrounded that I'd like to hear from you guys, just exactly what this is going to do to the district. If I was a student here, K through 12, what would it look like? What does it look like and broken down into the different subjects? How is it being taught? How is it being implemented? What are the goals, the benchmarks that you all are looking for conclusion to a successful introduction of this very divisive curriculum? And just how are the teachers supposed to implement the daily basis to the students, what they're supposed to learn, how they're supposed to learn tomorrow, next year, 5 years from now? how did this come up for a vote? How was this even brought up? I think that this is something that should have been brought into and had an open, because of the volatility of the subjects that are behind it, rather than just come into a meeting and have it brought up to the board, and have it all voted on, and the next thing we know, we're now with DEI in the program. And so I'm just kind of curious, how did it come about? What is being used? What are the different topics that are brought up? And again, if I was a student, K through 12, what would I be expected basis? So I have not gotten back to your email yet.
Okay.
I'm still working on that, trying to
Great.
clarify some points.
Great, thank you.
But I would like to wish you all a happy and very Merry Christmas and a very safe and happy New Year. And look forward to seeing you all and reading your response.
And I am going to breach what I just read. So we have not changed what we're teaching or any instruction. I think the board has realized we don't feel we get the input from every aspect and all the various parts of our community. So as a board, we're trying to put together something to get more voices in that are more fully representative of all the students and the families in our district. So there's been no change in the curriculum. There's been no mandates given to teachers. You must use these kinds of things. So what the board has done is purely our action. Lindsay and I will be giving an update on our efforts there to date. We just don't, as a board, we don't feel as if we're getting, full voices from the representation of the families in our community. So there was no change in curriculum or anything like that.
So the DEI elements have not been introduced into the subjects and into the curriculum of the school?
We haven't changed curriculum in quite some time. So, so that's,
So should that be stricken from the record as far as what the inclusion of the conversation that happened, I believe it was in October, either September or October, when it was introduced and voted on to introduce the diversity, equity, and inclusion?
that was us talking about getting our own committee together. That's what that topic was. So you can respond to my email. Yeah, we've been, most recent curriculum we had was math right around 2020, 2019, and it was not a DEI-based math, it's just math. So, but yeah, we'll go ahead and we can talk more afterwards, but yeah, we did not vote on any curriculum change. And,
Okay, we'll talk about it afterwards.
yeah, sorry
Thank
to
you.
kind of make that kind of a mess there. Defy my own words, right there. That's what happens when you're the presiding officer. You preside. Okay, thank you. Okay, now board coordination matters. So we do have, get a motion for board coordination matters.
No, we don't.
Don't need a motion? Okay, so we're not gonna vote, right?
Right.
We are gonna discuss and coordinate though. And we're actually gonna coordinate a date here. So, beginning of each school year, is it by the 15th is when we have to have it done?
Right.
Okay, by the 15th of January, we need to have an organizational meeting and tax budget meeting. So, everybody has the necessary calendar. And that is, well in advance of our first meeting, which will be the Tuesday after Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
I would like to point out, January 12th, one of the organizations is having a family game night, I believe.
Mhm.
So maybe not that night.
And the 9th is our Pro Action Cafe, so.
Okay.
I would have a strong preference that it be on the 4th or after. But if that does not work for the rest of the board, I could do earlier, but.
How does the 10th look for everyone?
10th is not good for me.
So that narrows it down. We're looking at 5th, 6th, 11th, 12th, 13th. 13th is a little too close to the 16th. So 5th, 6th, 11th, 12th. Is that what we're, and 9th?
No, I think we're trying to avoid the 12th because the family night.
Okay, so we got 5th, 6th, 9th, 11th.
No, the 9th was the Pro Action Cafe.
Oh, sorry. 5th, 6th, 11th.
I am free any of those days.
Me too.
I'd prefer the 5th if possible. We can make that
5th works for me.
Okay.
Dave, do we see? Is that-
Yeah, that's fine for me.
That should be fine. It's sometimes hard when you're so far out.
I know.
I guess it's not too
Right.
far, but
It's a Thursday, it looks
yeah,
like.
it's a couple weeks. Yeah.
It is Christmas break away,
Mhm.
which makes it infinity, right?
Yeah.
Do we know
I
what
would-
time?
I would
that-
appreciate 6 PM if possible, or later, just because I'm downtown during the day on Thursdays.
Ah, gotcha.
Doesn't matter to me. How long does it usually take? Is it usually, how long was the one last year? Do you remember, Dave?
These meetings are maybe 45 minutes long.
So 6 o'clock works for me, eat dinner afterward. So,
So 6 PM on the 5th?
does that work for you?
Sounds good.
Yep.
Is that the administrative office?
Yeah, do it, yeah.
Is that just the organizational, it's not the tax budget, right?
Both.
They're
Yeah,
both
two
the same
separate
kind- okay.
meetings, yeah.
Yeah, they'll be separated but together the same night.
Okay.
Do we meet at the administrative office last year, or do we meet in the media center?
Oh, we did because we're also swore in the new board members.
So
In the
that's.
media
that's
It's a
the
much
reason
bigger
we were in
event,
the media center.
unexpected to
Okay,
be
Yeah.
as big an event, it's never been,
Yeah.
like that before, so.
sounds
It was
good.
delightful, but.
The public is still
not
welcome to
typical.
attend. so.
Yes. And we have had public attend meetings in the administrative offices before. That would not be unheard of.
Okay.
Okay, so just with board members, I do actually have notes on the township meeting. I couldn't make it, but I did watch the recording. It was a particularly long one for lots of great reasons. And I wanted to make sure that Eddie didn't like snipe me on this time.
I didn't go there. I'm on pins and needles to hear about it, although I kind of got a scoop and I ran
Hey,
into
hey,
somebody.
my
Tony's
time-
going first.
My time now.
Okay.
So it started off, it's really neat how it started. They started with the fire department color guard. They said that for several reasons, and one of the first things they did was 2 Girl Scouts. As we got informed in emails, board members, they actually saw from, training they'd seen at the fire department here, there was a child drowning in a pool at a hotel. Pretty cool.
Which, if I
So,
can add,
yeah.
we did invite them to come to the January regular
Right.
board meeting to
Yeah,
be
great.
recognized. So,
Nice.
Awesome.
And Meredith was there.
she gave a fantastic speech.
She did.
Yep, represented.
We're nervous.
Yes.
Represented us well. But that was right, so I'm not gonna go a lot more detail, hope to have them, 'cause I don't wanna tell their story when they do it for us in January, hopefully. Also, Chief Leininger is retiring on, let's see, we're here, officially January 6th. And that's gonna be, that day will be, Robert Leininger Day in the township. And just, there was a whole list of things, you can watch it for all things. Some of the things, there was no Springfield Township Fire Department, there was 3 independent volunteer fire departments that he brought together and brought into Springfield Township, that's why we have that. Also, we are the first, in our region, we have the first stroke response unit because of work he did, and that's why it's also, located here as well. And just the things he brought about, even the fact we had the training for the students, as chief, he led all that. So it was just really neat just to hear the history, his, 41 years starting as a volunteer in the Northern Hills Fire Department, and then through retirement, and so that was just incredible. One thing which stuck out to me was interesting, and I'm going to say it because it's interesting to me. They have Galwith Road work that they bid out regarding the hospital going in and other work, and they had an engineer's estimate of how much it should be, and all the bids came in over that, so they're going back to square one, and they're going to adjust their bid requirements because they did not want to exceed the engineer's estimate of the cost. So, in light of that, I just think that's a great act of fiscal responsibility. They didn't just say, well, they're all too high. They said, well, what can we do differently to get a bid comes in within the engineer's estimate? And the last thing is the daddy-daughter dance is scheduled for February 18th. So, and that's all I have. I was sick on the day of the meeting for the Greentown Schools Education Foundation meeting, so I didn't join that. I'm not feeling good at all. I would think I was sleeping during that, so not bragging. but I was leaving. Okay, that's all I have in my coordination. Jamie, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I did not attend any of the committee, like the groups that I'm with, the boosters, or they actually have a meeting tonight, right now, so I wasn't able to attend that one. But a couple things I want to address really quickly. We've had some meetings. Eddie and I were working on, and have been working on we brought it up at the last meeting, a paid parental leave memorandum of understanding. And we've spoken to Dave and Lori just briefly, but we're going through some legal. We have a meeting set up with the presidents of the unions to discuss that, to kind of get some feeling. A bunch of work went into it with Eddie and I, looking at companies, looking at state governments, that kind of thing, for what's appropriate. And we're going to be bringing information to the board, hopefully at the January meeting, for us to vote on, to have an impact on the lives of our staff here at the school, and help them out when they're making decisions to start families or expand families. So I'm looking forward to bringing what Eddie and I have come up with. We still need a bit of tinkering for it, but we're looking right now, pending, whether we can afford it, all that kind of stuff, looking at 6 weeks, but we're looking to cover births, adoptions, and fostering with some exceptions, but it wouldn't just be kind of in all instances. So we're moving forward with that, and hopefully, coming with something for the January meeting for us to vote on. So there's that on that. I just got a text message actually from Katie Hoffman, who is our new state school board rep here for Hamilton County. She wants to know what time she should be here on the 17th for the January meeting. And she's excited to come and talk to us and kind of have a discussion, kind of the plans for the state school board and her plans for the state school board, et cetera. So if I can let her know what time she'll be here. So.
Is she presenting on a specific topic, or is it
Just an introduction, kind of,
okay.
She's actually, why I couldn't go on the 10th for our organizational meeting. I'll be at her swearing in to get on the state school board. So, yeah, she'll just come, introduction, kind of expectations, like what she plans to do, that kind of information, answer some questions from us. So, yeah. I just think a good opportunity to meet her.
Oh, yeah. So you did send out information to us of the kind of your starting point on the paid parental leave. How do you want to collect some feedback on that?
If you want to provide feedback individually to me, that's fine. Okay. So there's no board discussions or anything, and I can take that into the meeting when Dave and Lori and myself.
Right. Well, I didn't know. Eddie. Did we want to have can we have a board discussion just on what you started? Or you want to wait for that to be more specified? If people want to talk tonight, that's fine. If they want to wait until we talk to unions and get more formal points from Dave and Lori, that's fine. Okay. Anybody feel a need to discuss it now? Just everybody's fine sending your thoughts and questions to, I guess since the two of you were working on, maybe to both of you. Yeah.
My thought is to just for those of you that, because only Jamie and I were in those conversations thus far. For me, I just need to see exactly what Jamie just said as far as costs and sort of the legal background and framework as we consider this. So it might be better to wait until after we have that conversation and then bring something to you guys, because if you give us feedback now, it may be the things we've already said and that could change in that meeting later this month. So if you have something that you wanted to share now, then you could, but it might be best to wait.
I can send my feedback via email. There were two small things. I don't remember off the top of my head what they were, but similar. I think waiting to see what comes out of that would be beneficial.
Great. If you want to review it and email Jamie, then you could. Tony or George.
Okay. Right. Go down the line here.
Sure. Sorry, I have like 3 notebooks today. All right. First thing, I didn't actually have a lot of committee meetings. I missed FMPA due to being on a work trip, so I apologize for that. I was very honored to attend my first wrestling match and got to be the honorary captain, and Lori was there with me. that was probably one of the funnest things I've done as a board member. And I highly recommend joining in on these sporting events if we get invited to do it.
I'll go on their trip. How's that?
Okay, yeah. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Our students showed up and performed very well, not only in the wrestling itself, but as students and representing our school. They were pretty phenomenal. Lots of positive feedback for each other and encouragement. I really had no idea how much agility and speed went into wrestling. It was very fun to watch. It was very impressive. And I would love to just continue doing similar events like that. So just let us know when we can attend them. I'm sure others would like to join in too. Beyond Finneytown Committee, the board committee that we have created, we're hoping to schedule time with Natambi. We're going to talk to her hopefully on Wednesday to schedule something. I know we can't actually meet on Wednesday. Just to kind of talk about how to better represent what we're looking for and how to get it out to the community better, because we're just not reaching the people we need to reach, is what we've decided. We have a few people interested in leading. We're looking just to make sure we get enough reach. I think I covered it, right? Yeah. So it has been stalled until then. We're going to talk to Notambi, hopefully schedule something on Wednesday. Let's see here. I wanted to talk about the shared learning sessions that we've been having. We're now 4 chapters into the book. It's fascinating. It really is. It's great learning opportunity. Sorry. Just turn it back over. And I know we can't talk about Finneytown specifically in the training, so after we're done maybe with all 6, can we have a special meeting to kind of debrief and look at how are we applying it in our school and what are we doing to use the knowledge that we're learning in those sessions, because it really is going to be a big impact, I think, in a positive way. And then I know I brought this up probably last month, maybe the month before, but I have concerns for safety at Finneytown Elementary drop-off. I want to reiterate that our process is very efficient and very well thought out. It's not being executed by parents. I don't know exactly how to go about fixing it necessarily, but some of the things I've seen, kids are being dropped off quite literally everywhere. They are all over the parking lot. They are crossing in front of cars. They are literally everywhere. And then the other thing I noticed, as I was pulling out myself after dropping my daughter off, one of our teachers was almost hit. Very scary, literally screaming at a car to stop, almost hit. So I'm just really worried about it. I'm not sure what else we can do for a presence, if maybe just adding more people outside to help. I noticed the sidewalk where the bike rack comes out, people drop off there a lot. And as a result, cars are then entering the left-hand lane to exit at different intervals. And I think maybe having presence there might help, maybe more presence over with Mrs. Brown where she's standing at Brent. I don't know necessarily what will help, but I think we need something because someone's going to get hurt. I know we had talked about a sign at the entrance of Brent. I didn't know if we had an update on that and Grant had to leave, but.
Yeah, but I can find out.
Okay.
And I've seen the staff are working very, very hard and really trying to keep kids safe. It's just people coming in that back entrance at all times. You can't put teachers in situations where they have to constantly be stopping cars, but it's scary.
Yeah.
You know, for parents seeing kids, and you know, I walk sometimes to get the boys, but it's the teachers are working very, very hard, and the system seems to work if everyone followed the
And
rules.
just for the record, for anyone watching who doesn't know, I have come at the very beginning, the very end, the middle. It's never taken me more than 5 minutes to get through the line. I time it just about every time, just to see how long it takes. It's a very efficient process. If people would just have the patience to wait, it goes really fast. So.
Can you talk a little bit more about the back entrance? Are you saying people are coming in off of Brent?
Yes.
And so they can get in the back and then turn right into here.
Mhm.
So they don't have to go around the loop.
Yep, and that's
so there
part
could be a
of it.
consideration of blocking off of that. I guess that would have to be up to our
Buses
building
have to
leaders.
The challenge is with
So
the buses.
let the buses come in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which we have
Ah.
seen also, I'm sure,
That's
buses
tough.
and cars
Yeah,
coming
that-
into play.
That sounds like a mess.
Really, what I think is the bigger issue is that intersection where cars are turning left sometimes they're coming right, they're dropping kids off in the middle of the parking lot. Those are the things that I think are the more serious dangers. But yeah, it worries me.
The intersection right out here to turn into the main
Yeah,
drive?
so you turn in at the light, and then when you go to turn left, that's where
There's no
I've
stop sign
noticed.
currently in the parking lot that would stop anyone from continuing to go straight if they're coming from Brad.
No.
Correct.
And I can see where I guess sometimes it gets confusing because if there's no line turning left into it, makes sense. But
Yeah.
really, you're supposed to go all the way back to Brent and go around and then turn right
Really?
into it.
I didn't know that. No.
So
It works well when it's,
it works, yes, it works very well when it's followed, and it doesn't take more than 5 minutes. It's just not being followed all the time. So
Maybe I'll go with my wife when she picks up the girl that she sometimes tutors, and then I can experience it. So.
and that's
Okay.
all I had.
Thank you. Felicia.
All right, I'm gonna try something different today. I have a PowerPoint presentation.
Nice.
Awesome.
I like illustrations, so this works a little better for me.
I'm actually
Let
gonna
me
sit
know if
over
it's up
there
there.
so I can see it. It is.
Is it? Okay. I'm gonna start here. Is it up there? Let me see. Give me a second.
It's so weird. It should be working.
It should be.
It's just giving you a hand. The hand's not gonna.
Don't tell me it's not gonna
The
work.
hand's not gonna give you anything.
Grant, where are you?
Is that what you want to be shown?
No, it's not what I wanna show at the moment. Bear with me here, guys.
Pretty good.
Hey, look, there you go. It's better. There you go.
full screen.
That's still not it. Oh, no. Grant. You had it minimized for me. Let me see.
Is the district computer or is it
This is my computer.
yours? Yeah, that's a screenshot.
I don't, Eric, do you want to turn the camera?
Try opening up PowerPoint and then go to recent.
I don't want to touch it.
If you open up PowerPoint and go to recent,
doing
it
that.
should pull up whatever your presentation was, but you might, in order to open up PowerPoint, you might need to go to like the menu bar. Like,
If you go back to the downloads, I think this is a touch.
PowerPoint, look for PowerPoint and click on it. Maybe even type up here. Right there, type in PowerPoint.
I don't think it was under Microsoft. Okay, maybe it was.
Try that and see if that. Okay, there you go. Now see if we can go full screen. Oh, I see. It's the web browser.
Yeah.
Okay, we're close.
Is that up there?
Yes,
Yeah.
but we need to
Yeah.
go full screen. So from the beginning,
From
if you hit right here.
Or if you can click down
Okay.
here.
There we go.
Okay, sorry. I'm trying to get better with
Perfect.
technology. That's
Yeah,
the whole
well,
point
you
of
clearly
this.
are. If
Okay,
you-
so-
no, I mean, you're clearly good at it if you made the presentation, that's what I
I
was
did
gonna
this
say.
by myself, so I'm proud of myself. All right, we go to next. Okay, here we go. All right, first off, I would like to thank Renee Heath for all of her efforts with the Wildcat Serve. It is amazing charitable cause. Thanks to all who donated all the items as well. And to highlight some of the buildings, the elementary staff adopted 4 families this year. Elementary Student Council raised $1,100 for Wildcat Serve through the family movie night that went on a couple of weeks ago, as well as the social. They also made a contribution to the PBIS store as well. So thanks to Mr. Durr and Ms. Dieters for their efforts on leading that, and also thanks to the administrators that came out to Perkins and had the dinner with the students as well. It was a great event. Also, Kathy McNair coordinated with the Salvation Army. And they're providing gifts for 6 families this year. Kathy also sent out an email to the secondary staff with a link to donate money and ask for gift cards to help for families this year in the district. So great things are definitely happening in the district. I have a couple of pictures here. And this is the students that were shopping at Kroger this year for student council. They all went through and shopped for the items, and at the end, they got the big, large receipt, which was really cool to see how much we spent on all of the items. Next point here, the Finneytown Social. This is a picture here, thanks for sending it, Meredith, of the Finneytown Social, and this was for grades 4 through 6, which was a success. I actually served in concessions this year, which was really, really fun. I got to go out and see all the students dancing and teachers were out there dancing, and it was definitely a great event. So thanks to everyone who donated items and time and their efforts on that to make that a success. I also attended the primary PTA meeting, and they had a Finneytown Dine to donate, and they actually raised $129 that supports the PTA, which was not as much as we would have liked, but definitely every bit helps, so that was good there. And this is a picture of the 8th grade field trip over at the Caves. The secondary campus provided funds for that. And they also helped out with amazing projects such as Cincinnati Artworks, the field trip for the 7th graders, and also some funds to the community garden, as well as the primary PTA. They also donated for a Park East Farm field trip, the PBIS store. So we definitely appreciate the PTA and all their efforts on providing funds for our schools. So good stuff going on. Also for athletic boosters, they are in need of people to run the concession stands. The same parents are running the concession stands. They're in a lot of need. If you have time to donate, reach out to Maggie Laird. She is the president of that organization, so they're definitely in need of help for that. Also for after prom, for the PTA is actually gathering prizes for that. We've reached out to Dave & Buster's in the past. If you or anybody you know different organizations, local, that will be willing to donate items for after prom. It's a big event, need lots of items for the students. Everybody's help is definitely appreciated to make that a success. My mouth is getting dry. I also, like I mentioned, I attended the secondary campus PTA meeting, and Antoine Walker was there, and he mentioned that the secondary campus is hosting every Wednesday. It's academic and enrichment. I don't know if you can elaborate a little bit more, but basically where students, if they're struggling in certain areas, they can do study tables, and they can also do different courses such as gardening, yearbook, career planning, grief support. I thought it was awesome because it's a way for students to get caught up on their work, but also take advantage of opportunities they wouldn't normally have. So that was good to hear that. That was something new and different. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I know they just recently started. The feedback's been very positive. They're tweaking things here and there, but it's an opportunity, like you said, for some intervention, and then for students to explore other class offerings or things that they're passionate about. I know there's an Adulting 101 we've heard some good things about, and yeah, so we're thinking we might learn some things and be able to expand it as we move forward, so.
So, on that, my daughter Maria, who graduated from Finneytown in 2009, she recently got a job with the Hamilton County Extension Services, and she is teaching, she is there every week for that, teaching with the Garden Club.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, so, she'd been working as a naturalist for a country club, but she really wanted to get into teaching kids, and long-term her goal is to be into plant-based therapy, just, the power there. So she's back there again. She's very excited.
And I wanted to congratulate Lucy and Madeline. I have a picture of them there, and I was able to attend. It was a very inspirational event. Very proud of our students. Tony went into the story of that, so I look forward to them next month. Shifting gears to student achievement, I have some things up on the screen. I read an article that mentioned hanging large sheets of papers, like for murals, for students to have a way to, I guess just, sorry, I'm having a freeze here, a way for students to network with their staff members. It was suggested to have envelopes and tapes on the walls, markers, pencils, a way for students to kind of take a break if they're having a moment in the classrooms, take a break, kind of learn something different. Also, it was mentioned to having students create kindness rocks, which was another thing. We created a rock garden out in the, what area was that? I'm sorry.
The courtyard?
Yeah, the courtyard. My husband and I, we created a rock garden, so that was something that could help students when they're having struggles in school. So just something to help with self-care. I sent that out to the administrators on that. Also, it's encouraged during Suicide Prevention Month. 19% of high school students in the U.S. seriously consider suicide. That is 1 in 5 students that are walking in our hallways. So that's something to really consider during those struggling times. We have a lot of students that are struggling, especially since the pandemic. So, and lastly, I just want to say thank you guys for the last year. It's been a struggle in some ways. It's been a lot of changes, a lot of good things, a lot of ups and downs, but I look forward to growing as a board member and serving alongside you guys. And happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I'm last.
Yes, you are.
Okay. Had a couple things here.
Oh, can I go back?
Yeah, go
Sorry.
ahead.
Also,
Aw.
I got a new dog. So this is my dog, Luna. This is a picture of my family. And I also had something I wanted to read. I forgot. It says, when a flashlight grows dim or quits working, do you just throw it away? Of course not. You change the batteries. When a person messes up or finds themselves in the dark place, do you cast them aside? Of course not. You help them change the batteries. Some need AA, attention and affection. Some need AAA, attention, affection, and acceptance. Some need C, compassion. And some need D, direction. And if you still don't see them shine, simply sit with them quietly and share your light. So that's something I saw that one of the teachers posted, and it just kind of stuck with me. So that's how I feel about our students. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. That was an awesome.
That's it.
That was a really awesome board update. So mine's not as visually appealing or as exciting and personal as yours. So I just really appreciate that you took the time to put that together, and I'm glad that you've been able to be on the board for the past year with 3 of you, and a little longer than that with Tony. So a couple things. Big thank you to Dave. For community members who are watching, go back and look at the minutes from our last meeting on the 27th. They had to be the longest minutes of any meeting that we've had in the past year. So Dave spent, or I assume it was Dave, it might have been, but was it all you typing it? Okay. So he must have spent a long time typing up all the minutes, and I know how tedious that can be, and it can be overlooked, but there's a lot in there from our meeting, so if you don't want to go back and watch the live stream, of course, you might not be hearing this because if you're not watching the live stream, if you're not wanting to go back, you might not be watching it right now. But if you want to go back and look in the minutes from last month, there's a lot in there just about 6-bell schedule and choir director and all sorts of things. So it's really, really interesting and lengthy. And Dave did an awesome job. Like he's writing down a lot more notes than he ever has had to because there's a lot more discussion than previous meetings. So big shout out to Dave on that one.
Can I just
so
pause you too?
yeah.
I've also seen probably tenfold the questions to Dave just this month, and you've answered all of them brilliantly. Like very well thought out, honest answers, thoroughly answered, and there's been a lot of them, so I appreciate that too.
My next thank you was to Lori. So at the last meeting, I asked for like a list of extracurricular and co-curricular contracts, and wanted to see if we could get them in December and in July, and then you just send them right over. So it was extremely helpful for me just to see the whole list and see the different pay and see how that, because I'd never seen how it depends on the years of experience, and I knew that existed, but having it all in one place was extremely helpful. And you got that to us in perfect time, and it was great. So wanted to say thank you for doing that as well. As Jamie mentioned, we've had these ongoing discussions about paid parental leave. I'm looking forward to that meeting later this month with those that Jamie mentioned. I had the pleasure of attending the PEM concert on the 3rd, and I just wanted to say thank you to all the alumni that put that concert on, that do so every year in remembrance of 3 of our alumni and 8 others who died 43 years ago. There were somber times, there were some happy times, and a lot of really just good times and good music, mostly with some older alumni. I think I was one of the younger alumni who was there. But it is really special to have that kind of support from our alumni community. It was just a reminder to me that our graduates who will be graduating this year and in the next few years who are our current students, they're going to go on, and we want them to stay in contact and stay in touch just as much as these have from all the way back in the 70s and 80s. So I was really just encouraged by that, and I was pleased to attend. It's something that I do with my family every single year, bring the kids, and then we leave when it's time for bed. If you haven't gone in past years, I'd recommend that you go at some point in the future. There was even complimentary food, so if that's not enough of an incentive. As far as for music, for the FMPA meeting, as Lindsay mentioned, we weren't able to attend the meeting on the 5th due to scheduling conflicts, but I did review the minutes from the meeting, and it was shared that $15,000 was donated for music scholarships at the PEM concert for the PEM Scholarship Fund. There was some talk that the concert was not as well attended as past years, but the fundraising was still where it had been in past years. So that's really exciting that that's money that's going to go back to our students. And then, of course, the PEM Memorial Fund is now, I guess it's endowed, so that they should be able to have enough interest from the ticket sales from the Who concert this past year to hopefully have the scholarship extended to other schools, and that this will be a scholarship fund that's around for a long time. So I'm excited about that. Holiday concert for the elementary was already mentioned by Dr. Banks. It's tomorrow at 7 p.m. at Finneytown Elementary. I wanted to also mention the date of the band concert, which I intend to go to, but it's actually not in my calendar. So I may just have that added to the minutes after this. Is it on Wednesday?
At 7.
Okay, then I'm going to the band concert on Wednesday at 7, but that's at the books, that's at the same time as the book study.
Study ends at 6:30.
Okay, well, maybe I'll split my time between the two, so we'll see how that's gonna go. My brother-in-law will be in that one. I'm excited that the choir director position was posted externally on the 1st. Sounds like we've had some interest, and I'm hopeful that we'll find a good fit for the position, and excited to see kind of where that goes. For facilities, one more thing. I heard some rumblings that there's exciting things to come with the band program for next year. I am excited to see the kinds of things that might be different this summer and in going into next year that might make it even more appealing for people to be in our music programs. That's just a little teaser. I'm not authorized to share anything on that, but I heard that there could be some exciting things coming up that our students might be able to be a part of. Okay. I think that was vague enough. Facilities. We didn't meet this month. Really excited that we got our funding. Wanted to say, I've been getting a lot of questions because people know I'm on the facilities committee about the Whitaker property. Dr. Banks had shared that is, and Mr. Oliverio shared that's a co-funded project. So that is something that, as part of the construction of the secondary campus, the state will help pay for the demolition. It's a 60-40, or I guess the state pays for all of it because we already did our 40, correct? Or is it 60-40?
Well, we paid money up front, and they're gonna pay money on the back end, but it'll end up being 60-40 for the entire.
Yeah, so essentially they'll pay 60, they're gonna pay 60% of the cost to demolish
We
Whitaker.
prepaid 40%.
Yeah, okay, but it looks like that won't be probably demolished until we have the planning process going, but I did have some questions about that, so I just wanted to make sure that was in the minutes in case somebody looks. I still need to get with Mr. Anderson to schedule a tour, and it sounds like next month we're gonna thank Bev Thal, but I wanted to say we do know that her retirement is coming up and that she'll be missed, so I guess we only have another month with her here, and we'll recognize her next month. Two other things. Dave, I emailed him prior to the meeting about item, I think it's now K, about the resolution. This is in the superintendent's consent calendar, the payment in lieu of transportation. I just wanted to ask for a little bit of clarity on that as part of my board coordination, so we're not interrupting the consent calendar. It doesn't say anywhere in the resolution about the payment in lieu of transportation, anything about private or homeschool, but is that generally what this is covered by for Ohio Revised Code?
Right. Well, not exactly. It'd be non-public students and community school students. Not homeschools are not included.
Not
Right.
homeschool students. So it would be charter school, which is the
Charter
community
school would, yeah,
or private school students.
correct.
And that's something that we're legally obligated to pay us per Ohio Revised Code.
Right. We are, because we can't transport because it's not impractical, then we make this payment.
Essentially, just looks like providing a check in the to the parents for the transportation costs.
Uh-huh.
And then the other thing I had was for item K, for acceptance of donations. Sounds like we got donated a plaque from Empower You Ohio. I just did some research into the organization. It said anyone can donate on their website, and you can specify what school district you want this plaque to go to. I did not know anything about this program or the fact that this had been part of Ohio Revised Code since 2006, that anyone in the state could, or out of state I suppose, could donate to have a plaque put up in a public space, something like the auditorium or lunchroom of a public school district. So that's really cool. If I had known that this was a thing, I don't know, maybe I would have donated one in the past. I don't know how expensive they are. But that's super cool. It is our Ohio's motto is with God all things are possible. And as a government teacher, I wanted to share that in 1997 there was a suit from the ACLU that was filed against Ohio, claiming that it violated the First Amendment of the Constitution, but various federal courts weighed in and they found that it was not a violation of the First Amendment because it does not endorse a specific God. So it is yeah, cool that there'll be something that has our state motto, and well, actually really it's the U.S., it's our U.S. motto that will be in a public place somewhere. So I look forward to hearing about where that gets put up, and thank you to whoever out there anonymously. I think there was a name, but I'm not sure if it was that person's actual name or not. So whoever that was that donated, thank you for that. Okay, that's all I have.
Okay. So I got a motion for item 10 and 10.1 for what Dave can take us through financial matters.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Oliverio, take it away.
Okay, the first item is the monthly financial report. In the month of November, we had in the general fund $620,006 in revenue. Fiscal year-to-date revenues in the general fund, $9,145,067. Expenditures in the month of November were $1,758,446, and fiscal year-to-date expenditures, general fund, $8,272,197. Our cash balance in the general fund at the end of November was $14,017,103.
I'd like to see the dark blue graph lower than the budget graph. So what was the reason for that being lower this month?
Well, we estimate a budget, a cash flow throughout the year, and so at this point, yeah, we're favorable to those estimates. You know, hopefully they'll stay that way.
That's great.
Throughout the year. Actually, the third page of the handout, and I usually don't refer to these, but there's a lot of additional information here. It does show year by year each of the revenue and expenditure line items, and so you know, you can see how we're trending, how we're tracking, and our expenditures are up. You know, we're starting to see that flow through, so anyway, you know, it's something for us to watch, but we are starting to see the impacts of, you know, changes that are taking place with inflation and things like that.
So it looks like up about $100,000, a little less than $100,000 year over year for the month. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, we are on track as you mentioned for this point. Are there any other questions? Okay, next item. Item B, depository investment balances as of November 30th, 2022. U.S. Bank, $629,854.18. U.S. Bank Construction Fund, $3,685,454.08. Regular Star Ohio account, $19,396,015.01. And our two-Star Ohio construction accounts, the first has $3,039,513.25, and the second $1,450,857.34. Item C is the interest earned on depository investment accounts for November. General fund interest earnings $63,395.50. Our construction fund $24,227.18.
So that's the interest earned in the month of November.
That single month. Yes.
Okay, because I get confused with the as of November 30th. So I did the back of the envelope math. And
Yeah.
Okay, so that's, we got 87.5 grand in interest this month.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Sounds
So
great.
that's fortunate. Nice to see, particularly with the construction fund. Balances are lower now. We're
Right.
making more than we've done in prior months with higher balances, so.
Yeah. Is that reflected in your, in like the forecasting that you do?
So
You couldn't forecast that interest rates were gonna go up this much?
In the general fund, I do have a spending plan and a forecast, and I am projecting like between $600,000 and $700,000 in interest income this year for the general fund, which is phenomenal and
Yeah.
much better than we've done for a long time.
Right.
As far as construction earnings, those fluctuate, and it looks like a lot this month. We have some coupons that were paid out this month, and so it was higher. So it's not going to look as good next month. 6 months from now, it'll look good again, but we're not earning as much on the construction fund.
So do we get all that money at one time from them, from the state? And then we might see interest going up?
I don't exactly know how that works. What I'm anticipating is there'll be sort of a draw schedule. They'll give us money according to probably a draw schedule.
So they'll keep the interest instead of letting us have it?
Sounds like it.
Yeah. Okay, item D, if you go back and look at the reports again, it shows where we stand, and that's the last page for this month's report. In terms of that project, we've expended $23,367,000 approximately, which is the majority of it. We still have a few things to pay, but the largest portion of that has been paid, and we still have about $860,000 in commitments at this point. Those are purchase orders that we've written. Now, we won't spend all of that money because we are going to get some money back from Skanska on our contingency. So I believe our spending will probably be less than that. But anyway, we're getting close to the end.
Want me to start again?
You're right.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Item E is a recommendation to approve a payment as listed in the amount of $7,990. Item F is a recommendation to approve the 5-year forecast, and I'm going to pass these down. I'm sorry I didn't have those in your notebooks, but did send these out electronically. The Finance Committee met and reviewed on December 9th this document, and discussed it in pretty good detail. What I will tell you is that we're fortunate right now to have 5 years of positive cash balances through the 5-year horizon that we're looking at, which is terrific. Anytime you can say that. In the many years I've been doing that, I haven't been able to say that a lot, but we are able to say that now. There are some things to be concerned about, so we don't have a lot of growth. When you look at what our revenue source, and right now we're on a guarantee. There is a new funding formula, but right now we are being guaranteed at prior year funding levels, and that's because our enrollment's down a little bit, and we haven't lifted ourselves off that bottom guarantee. So, unfortunately, we were on the guarantee last year, but we've slipped much further onto the guarantee this year. And so we're about $600,000 on the guarantee, which means there's a lot of students we're going to have to see before we get back on the formula and start growing. So it is something to be concerned about, and definitely we want to see our enrollment go up. But even with an increase in enrollment, it doesn't mean we're going to see an increase in state funding at this point.
That's a lot, like 100 students.
I'm right. I think we're looking at
That was the number I
100
had
students or more.
in my mind.
So this funding formula is being phased in, and so there's some hope that they'll phase funding will be like after this year at this point.
Yeah, if you're not on the guarantee,
We could add 100 students before we see any increase. And we do want to grow, we really have more students, but it will be, for those first 100 students, it'll be just, as far as finances are concerned, it'll be additional, cost. It will not be-
Less money per student, right, spend. If we add 100 students and we have the same budget, we'll be spending less per student to educate them, right?
essentially,
Right.
yeah.
Or we'll have less to spend on them to educate.
We'll have no additional to spend on.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think, Dave, you shared previously about property taxes. Didn't you say that there's something set up so that so that even if property evaluations go up, this portion that goes to the school doesn't? You shared about that previously, but
Right, yeah. When you pass a levy, generally, that's the amount of money that you bring in, and as the valuation goes up, the millage will slip down a little bit, so it brings in about the same amount of money.
that's what I thought. I just wanted to do that again.
So anyway, it's a good 5-year forecast. I do think, though, that we need to take a look. The sooner we start looking at this, the more I think that we can help. What you will see is there's a line 6.01 operating surplus or deficit, and what we start to see in the later years of the forecast is these accelerating annual deficits. So in a particular year, when you compare the revenue, we're more than we're bringing in those years. Now, the further you out, the less accuracy you have, and so I don't really know what's going to happen. Very well. But this is a starting point, and we can, just be aware that there's a strong possibility that we'll need to take some action with regard to that.
So if community members were asking about an operating levy, conservatively, we'd be looking at starting that process in 2026?
I would say that an operating levy is 5 years away or more. I would hope that we could do some things to continue to push that off. But at this point, I would say 4 to 5 years from now, it's something that would become a topic of conversation.
And it's been how long since our last operating levy?
Let's see, that was 2009, I believe. 2009 or 2010.
Oh.
I think
That seems like it's it.
to the state as required twice a year, and I continue to keep.
Entrance requirement, if the board moves forward with the approval to switch the enrollment date, that will be something also that will go out in notification tomorrow to our families. Item J, I know there was a point of wanting to bring this up in conversation. We can do that now. This is around the policy of board staff communication. There is you, I think, have been. Thanks, Lindsay, for bringing that for. So, Lindsay, one-on-one about this. I shared my to a grievance or a thing that would be brought to the board as appeal office from that process. So I wanted to share those doubts or reservations. I also shared this change in policy with the union presidents just to get feedback.
I brought this up. I brought this up for a few reasons. I'm just going to read from my notes because I want to make sure I get it right. So the intent, high performance in that, seeing that equality in how we communicate. And the other part is I added a paragraph and changed the wording at the top primarily because I think our policy doesn't clearly establish the responsibilities and expectations for communication on both sides. I think this better reminds us that the superintendent is responsible for informing the board of all matters affecting the district, while we are responsible as a board to represent the community's input. Sounded very obvious when I put it in there, but it really makes a difference, at least in my mind. Yeah, so this is, it's really just to offer protections to our staff and make them feel safer when they do have the informal conversations. It does very explicitly say this is not intended to circumvent the established processes and procedures that address and resolve employee grievances. So those processes still need to be followed. And if at any time we were to enter conversations where it looks like we're going that way, I would expect us to point that out. I am open to other wording or adjustments if anyone sees a need. Since this is the first reading, I just thought I'd get it started.
Yeah, I actually, I talked with Cheryl about this, even me myself, so even the wording, responsible for informing the board of all matters affecting the district. We just, with the executive, her being the executive, we just gave her a contract. It just seems like it's lots of opportunities to say, like, we should be talked to when there's a question. And we're not going to ever be the ones with the information. That's why superintendent position pays pretty well, because it is a lot of responsibility, it's a lot of work. Her first comment was, this really looked like, you know, she would like to understand how she'd work with somebody on the goals, because this really looked like it could be a springboard to severely undermine the authority of the superintendent. So if you have something you like as a teacher, you're very passionate about, you go and you go through the right processes, but it's not prioritized, not happening for a reason, go find a school board member, and they'll come and bring it from another perspective. So she was really concerned about how this could just undercut a lot of things. It becomes much more, why do I talk to my building leader if I have an idea, if I can skip the line and just talk to a school board member? So she said she would be happy to talk through this. She was really, really concerned when she saw this, so that was her feedback.
I find that interesting just because I benchmarked off of other school boards where it's actually an expectation to have the communication with staff, with the board, to just have us involved and see what's going on and know what's going on. And
Right, but yes, that might be, yeah, so another aspect is, we are going to be surveying, so a lot of this, I agree, we can get more input from the staff, but right now, it's whatever staff grabs a school board member is the voice of the staff, instead of getting the staff surveyed. So we're talking about building a survey. That was my concern, was it was going to be, if you found a buddy, you had a voice on the board, you got to drive things from the top through the board, instead of going through and having a survey, because our work is more strategic. So we should know what things we're concerned about, and we can be surveying the staff about that. We've already agreed that we're going to contract a survey. Jaleesa and Jamie are going to work on that. We're hoping to launch that in January or February. So I'm just really concerned myself when I read this. Cheryl was much more concerned than I was about this, how this could just erode, the authority of the building leaders and the superintendents. And that's what I didn't see it as significantly as Cheryl did. Cheryl was like, not sure what's going on here. She'd like to know the goals, and she'd be happy to work through different language, which wouldn't introduce that possibility.
yeah, I can talk to Cheryl for sure. I do find it interesting, and how do other boards, the wording is very similar to what I have seen in other districts, so I was.
Yeah. I had the same concerns, and she did too, so.
Well, and I
Yeah.
can share one of the things Jason shared with me when I had a conversation with him earlier. He did say some boards have moved to this language. He has said that has also led to some challenges. And so he didn't elaborate on that because it was a quick call, but that might be something else to explore with him and to learn more what those challenges were, and maybe if there's a way to word it in such a way that helps
Right.
avoid that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But I do like the sentiment of having an organized collection of perspectives of the staff, but it shouldn't be staff who are interested and willing and doing that. That's not gonna be everybody's personality, not everybody's gonna connect. We're not, right now, we happen to have school board members with kids in the elementary. They're gonna be overrepresented by those casual conversations. So to me, that's my concerns, and I'm really pretty darn significantly concerned about the way it's worded right now.
So which language specifically is the concern?
Well, the fact that whereas before, the policy was really clear, like, hey, you're gonna be around people for whatever reasons, and things might come up, but it shouldn't be the intention to go and seek, board direction from the staff individually by people they happen to know and happen to feel comfortable talking to them. To me, this is what this is saying, is if you've got a connection, if you hang out with, or you have a student or whatever, this really opens the board to be kind of your personal sounding board outside of all the systems in place of running. It's just, it seems too operational to me. Yeah, first, that's what, it really strikes me as a way to operationally go around what the processes are. So I think the board should ensure there are processes for teachers to bring ideas forward. They have processes to, if they don't get the traction they want, to go up to the superintendent. But I don't, after that, that's where it is, the strategy, is the expertise, it's the direction, it's the priorities the whole district's on. And for that then to go to the board and say, no, this, we want this thing to happen instead because of whatever reason, it seems like it has a real opportunity to disrupt things. And like I said, so Cheryl's happy to talk through where she sees that. It was a very immediate and not, so.
Well, I left paragraph C in, which covers
Yeah.
pretty much most of that, is it's not supposed to circumvent those processes, and it is
Right.
in official conversation, it's not the official stuff.
Right.
And that's why it says informal discussion with employees, not necessarily ideas
Right.
and things. I would expect those to still fall under matters affecting the district that should go through Lori. And it does
Right.
kind of rely on the board to follow that and push for that, but that's very similar to what we already have in place. It relies on the board following it. There's no real enforcement other than us enforcing it as the board members.
Yeah,
So
so
just gives it kind of that extra sense of,
So I really
security.
would prefer a survey approach to get everybody's opinions instead of just the people who are comfortable talking with the board. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not gonna change that.
no,
I
that's
much
fine.
prefer getting a broad picture than whoever's willing to talk to board members. To me, that's insider, that's special privilege, that's all kinds of leverage, which to me, I really don't like. So to me, that's what this opens the possibility of.
So I think a survey still falls under that official stuff that we are requesting.
Right, but this is
less
still
so the
saying
informal.
individual board members reserve the right with employees. So a board member could effectively start their own committee, could start their own gathering, they could do anything. So it's that kind of opportunity which I don't
That seems to be
like.
more formal than informal, though.
Well, I'm just saying what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I saw it, Cheryl saw it stronger than I did, and she's happy to work through where she sees it. I'm saying where I see the possibilities of problems, and so we can continue to work on this.
Yeah, I'd be happy to
Can I
talk
ask
to
a
Cheryl.
clarifying question? So under our current policy without the changes, if a staff member came up and wanted to talk about something specifically related to the school that wasn't just informal discussion, and the staff member was to share that with us, would the staff member be disciplined?
No, it's nothing like
No,
that.
so that's not really what the policy has to do.
No, what Cheryl asked us to do was, if that happens, it's going to happen. But she said, hey, you need to get that to the building leaders, you need to get that to Lori and get the name, because then when it's not, if somebody's just, it's how you make progress in an organization. If you need to stand up, you need to be a leader to make things happen, to kind of go around and bring your concerns one place, but never really get them into the main flow, it's just disruptive. It can really make like a struggle, because you now have a power base of people who are kind of banging the ear of the board, and then you have a district leadership team who's paid to do this and organize it. And so, whereas if there's no way to get your ideas out and no way to be supported, the board should make sure. So to me, one of the things, I will do something which people who see me at my company see I do all the time. I try not to waste time at board meetings do. But I recently was doing my own self-review at work, and it's heavy and focus on leadership. And then one of the sub things was do it right. In my mind, historically, I always thought, do it right. Well, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be upfront, and I had a whole new perspective this year. And do it right was have the right systems in place. There's two things that does. Make sure the communication is good, all the people in the right decision-making process have it, but also ensures that the people who are in place right now are not the magic. It's not just because these people are there, you have magic and success. You have the process of things in place, so whoever's in there has that happen. So for me, maybe reframe my thought as a school board member, even more so of make sure that if something can't happen because the processes aren't in place, that's the focus, that strategic thing. That's just, so I will stop anecdoting. I can talk for hours on that. I work really hard to talk less at school board meetings. If you haven't noticed, I should get a gold star, except for tonight. I've been pretty bad tonight. But anyway, yes, that's just, thing. It's like, that's where we should focus on. Is there a problem that's related to process? Are people not getting a voice because of process? And then do that, and then, then you trust the people you've entrusted the process with to be honoring that. So, and that's, to me, a 3-year contract to Dr. Banks says we trust her with those processes and also do it. And I think an excellent example is the bullying. We got emails of board members, some of the things didn't flow as well, and it was actually already being examined, so, I'm glad to see that happening. So I'm sure it's a frustration for every parent in every district, and the fact you didn't just say it's the policy, good luck with that, but that's our policy today, and we're already working on it, I thought was very strong.
So I'll be happy to take this back to Cheryl and work with her on some of the wording about that, because I think all of that you have said is really, I agree with. Like, the systems need to be in place. That's actually what I do too, ironically, is I work with systems every day. And this is not meant to circumvent the systems in place. It's just more to give that protection on the informal conversations that are happening, to not feel like teachers are gonna be like, well, I don't wanna be held accountable for every single word I say. I'm not allowed to say things. I want them to feel protected and that they can talk to us in an informal way. And I guess whether or not we clearly define what that means is what's needed. I can work with Cheryl on that for sure.
I do think if we change it, they'll probably still feel uncomfortable, even if it's in there.
All of them?
Some of them may, and that's fine too. You can't make everything.
I can't speak for all of them, but I could,
And I asked them to reach out to their membership, so I'll bring that back when they have more information on that.
I haven't talked to them and got them. I would just guess that there was definitely still be quite a few teachers that would probably not want to.
I think it depends on your relationship with the staff member. I mean, as Tony mentioned, it might make certain staff members feel like they have special privileges. And I think it just diminishes the trust in the buildings between Laurie and the staff members by doing that. So that's my only concern.
Yeah, so if there's any wording to adjust to make it less about special privileges and bringing formal ideas and circumventing systems, this is not meant to circumvent the systems.
So what would be the purpose of staff members going to board members? What would we do with that information? Would we relay it to Laurie, or how would we intervene with that?
It depends on what the information is. It may just be for awareness. It may not be just informal conversation. I'll be here, for example, tomorrow with a teacher who is mentoring my daughter. If something comes up, for example, safety. There was a safety question that May happened to ask the teacher the last time we were together. We didn't have the answer. We could talk about it together and no one felt uncomfortable in that situation. That's what I would hope to give others, is that we could talk about what would the answer really be. Maybe I should go ask Lori that. And I think I followed up with, I may have followed up with Lori specifically, or maybe with Oscar, I don't remember. I think it was you.
Could we tell them to go to the superintendent for that information?
I mean, sure, if there's questions, or if it's following an official idea or something, yeah, I would expect that actually.
Yeah, so to me, but the saying the superintendent is responsible for forming the board of all matters affecting a district basically says we now become a contact point, because we now are directing the superintendent to give us all information. And that's not the board's job.
And some of this is none of our business, quite frankly. I don't expect Laurie to notify me on every single thing
So
that's
if
going
that's
on
the
in the
wording that
district.
changes, that's fine. I actually didn't think of that as being a significant wording, so if that's something that you want to change, is the all matters, I welcome any suggestions for what it should be.
Official matters.
Official or, Yeah.
Maybe something like the superintendent's responsible for the daily operations of the school district, and the board's responsible for representing the community's
Sure.
interests.
I like that.
But I'm not sure I would change anything else.
But the superintendent gets direct, I don't know, it's possible the superintendent at times can be getting more direct input from the community than we are. So we're not the sole representatives of the community either, right?
Good point.
So that's, I don't think there's this clear line that all community input comes to the board. We're additional connection because we are in the community. I have a whole different community than the rest of you do
Right.
because I'm 56 years old, right? And I've been here since '92. So we're gonna have different concerns because, we're not quite telling people to get off our lawn yet. We're close. But, so to me, it's almost splitting a line there, which just isn't true.
I did not read that as all community input,
Yeah,
but again, certainly welcome to
yeah.
any ideas you guys have, just let me know.
Additional items on here, we had the resolution that we talked about earlier for payment in lieu of. And then we have, lastly, the acceptance of donations. Cash donation of $500. Was there a question? Did I skip it?
No. So, on the entrance requirements.
Oh, I had a question about that too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad you're
But
asking.
Yeah, we can, so comments on that. So as it stands right now, because we didn't break this out to vote on separately.
To break what out, I'm sorry.
The entrance, the change for kindergarten. So a vote for the consent calendar right now, so if we can discuss that. I really appreciate the staff giving input on that. It was very meaningful to me. My reason to go to August 1st is the fact that if you know the trick, you enroll at an open enrollment school that has an August 1st deadline.
You mean September?
So, no.
No, it's August
August
1st or September 30th.
And once you're a kindergarten student there, you're now, Uniontown has to take you as a kindergarten student. And so for the families who want to honor what is intended, they're at a disadvantage. And for me, I think that, that's the way the law is, that's the way it exists right now. And to tell the people who want to follow, you can argue whether it's following the rules. I'm not gonna pick on anybody for that, right? All these parents are doing what they want for their kids, the best thing for their kids and for their family. And so if you know this thing, you can skip this requirement. To me, I'd rather not have that kind of secret in the know kind of thing, where some families know this way, to get it done. And they do it because that's good for their family, and others families don't know this. And so that to me is my reason. I really appreciate the information, and I know we have a great early focus on education, on reading now. It's been highlighted. We discussed it at our last shared learning thing. I was sitting next to somebody helping lead that, so it was very great. But for me, that's the reason for the move. It kind of trumps the other aspects.
Talking about the information provided from the staff, I think there was a key point that came from the staff as well, and that is the aides in classrooms. I really think that needs to be a focus, to provide the teachers what they were told they were going to have. To hire people, but we need to figure something out and how to make it work and get the teachers what they were told they would have.
So, for the record, I was here when that happened, and it was not a forever move to have an aide with every full-day kindergarten classroom. As I recall it, and you might recall this too, you don't have to even respond, you can stay off camera, but when we went to all-day kindergarten, it was to get our feet under us and understand how all-day kindergarten worked. We would have aides. I don't recall it being a plan to be there forever. I thought it was see how it went.
Is there, but for stability, I'm just gonna keep my kid there, which means that we're losing those kids.
Though to